Hello, and I welcome you to the UPSC Prelims Chaturya series of Shantha Lakshmi IAS Academy, where we would be discussing daily prelims MCQs from the Hindu, Indian Express, and PIB. So let's get started. First question. Choose the correct one with respect to green firecrackers. These crackers are developed by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Second statement, these crackers are made with barium compounds which give green color to the crackers. Third statement, green crackers cause zero pollution. How many of the above statements are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. So the right answer to this question is, if you look at the statement 1, these crackers are developed by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Yes. Green firecrackers are developed and designed by a lab under Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Statement 1 is correct. Coming to the second statement, these crackers are made with barium compounds which give green color to the crackers. So statement 2 is incorrect because these crackers use the raw materials that cause less air pollution. They do not use the barium compounds. These barium compounds are usually used in the traditional firecrackers. They are not used in green firecrackers. So statement 2 is incorrect. Coming to the next statement, green crackers cause zero pollution. So the green crackers will significantly reduce the air pollution, but it does not ensure zero pollution. So statement 3 is incorrect. So the question is about how many of the above statements are correct. Only one of the above statements is correct. Option A is the right answer. There was a news article in the Hindu. Under this news article, it has mentioned that a study which was conducted by an NGO has stated that the air quality index in Calcutta has started deteriorating after the festival period. So the report is calling for the strict enforcement of the guidelines by the Supreme Court regarding usage of the green crackers during festivals. What are these green crackers? The green crackers are the fireworks that are healthy to environment and can lessen the air pollution compared to the conventional firecrackers. They are designed and developed by the National Environmental and Engineering Research Institute, that is NERI, which is a lab under Council for Scientific and Industrial Research Lab. So these green crackers are also called as eco-friendly crackers. Why? Because they are using an alternative raw materials that have a smaller negative impact on the environment and they do not contain harmful compounds such as aluminium, barium, potassium nitrate, and carbon. These crackers, the crackers developed by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, they falls under three categories. They fall under three categories, such as SWAS, STAR, and SAFL. So the UPSC might pick a question like SWAS, STAR, and SAFL that has been seen in the news recently refers to what? So these words refers to green crackers. The SWAS name stands for Safe Water Releaser. The name itself denotes that it will suppress the dust released by releasing water vapor in the air. The SWAS green cracker does not comprise potassium nitrate and sulfur, and the particulate dust released will reduce by 30% into the environment. Coming to the STAR, STAR stands for Safe Thermite Cracker. It also does not comprise potassium nitrate and sulfur compounds. It will reduce the particulate matter emission, and it will also reduce the sound intensity. The next green cracker, that is SAFL. SAFL is Safe Minimal Aluminium green cracker. So the name itself denotes that SAFL use minimal aluminium. Instead, it will use the magnesium compounds. So this SAFL ensures a reduction in sound level compared to the conventional firecrackers. So the green crackers aims to not only reduce the air pollution, but it will also reduce the noise pollution. Are these green crackers totally pollution free? No. But these green crackers will reduce the air pollution. The green crackers are 30% less polluting than the conventional firecrackers, and they have less or no barium compounds. In addition to lowering air pollution, the green crackers are also said to have lower sound level than the ordinary crackers. So the conventional crackers said to have a sound level of 160 decibels, whereas the green cracker said to release a sound level of 110 to 125 decibels. So the 110 to 125 decibels is lower compared to the conventional firecrackers. Coming to the next question, the Strait of Malacca connects which two important water bodies? Option A, Andaman Sea and South China Sea. Option B, Bay of Bengal and Andaman Sea. Option C, Yellow Sea and East China Sea. Option D, Philippine Sea and East China Sea. The right answer to this question is this Strait of Malacca connects Andaman Sea and South China Sea. There is this editorial in the Hindu with reference to a potential Malacca blockade amid tensions between China and Taiwan. So in this context, India is actually facing constraints in responding to this conflict involving China and Taiwan. So the blocking of Strait of Malacca or military action against the China vessels is not considered feasible because due to various factors such as international law and interests of regional countries and the multinational nature of commercial shipping, because of it, it does not only affect the China, it also affects other countries in the region. So in this context, it is India has considered that it is not feasible to block the Strait of Malacca. So what does strait mean? Strait means a narrow passage of water that connects two water bodies. In this case, the Strait of Malacca is connecting Andaman Sea with South China Sea. So the Strait of Malacca runs between Indonesian island of Sumatra and Malaysia and southern Thailand. So the east of the Strait of Malacca, we have extreme southern Thailand and Malaysia. To the west of the Strait of Malacca, we have Indonesian island of Sumatra. What is the strategic importance of Strait of Malacca? It is the shortest sea route that will connect the Middle East and East Asia, thereby helping to reduce the time and cost of transportation. Through this corridor, 60% of the world's maritime trade transits occurs, and it is also the main source of oil supply for two main Asian countries such as China and Japan. Coming to the next question, with reference to prediction gap report, it is released by United Nations Environment Program. It measures the gap between aggregate demand and supply for employment. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both 1 and 2. Option D, neither 1 nor 2. So the right answer to this question is the Prediction Gap Report 2023 has been recently released by United Nations Environment Program. So option 1 is correct. Statement 1 is correct. Coming to the second statement, it is incorrect because you do not measure the gap between aggregate demand and supply for the employment. Rather, it will assess the projected production levels of fossil fuels and the actual global production of the fossil fuels, whether they were inconsistent with meeting the target of limiting the global warming to 1.5 or 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius. So statement 2 is incorrect. Which of the statements given above is or correct? Option A, 1 only. The statement 1 is only correct. So this Production Gap Report 2023 is released by United Nations Environment Program and some other institutes as well, such as Stockholm Environment Institute, Climate Analytics, E3G, International Institute of Sustainable Development. What do you mean by production gap? The misalignment between government's planned or projected fossil fuel production and the global production levels consistent with limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius to meet the Paris Climate Paris Climate Agreement goals. So what is this production gap report? So this production gap report was first launched in the year 2019 to assess the government's planned production against the Paris Agreement temperature goals. The Production Gap Report 2023 has released a report titled Phasing Down or Phasing Up, Top Fossil Fuel Producers Plan fossil fuel producers plan even more extraction despite climate promises. So in this, it will be assessing the fossil fuel production policies of the 20 major producer countries such as Australia, Brazil, US, UK, India, UAE. So this 20 major producer countries account for 82% of the global production and 73% of consumption of the fossil fuels. What are the key findings of this report? This report has mentioned that the planned fossil fuel production is exceeding the climate goals. That is, the countries are actually planning to produce 110% more fossil fuels in 2030. And it also compared the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere between the before the period of industrial revolution to today. It has mentioned that the concentration of carbon dioxide by burning the fossil fuels has increased from 275 parts per million to 420 parts per million today. And it also mentioned that there was a lack of commitment among the countries to achieve net zero emissions. Coming to the next question, with reference to cloud seeding or artificial rain technique, consider the following statements. Statement 1, it is an artificial process to reduce condensation nuclei in the atmosphere. Second statement, it uses chemicals like silver iodide, potassium iodide, sulfate aerosols. Which of the above statements are correct? Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Both 1 and 2. D, none. So what is the right answer to this question? If you look at the statement 1, it is an artificial process to reduce the condensation nuclei in the atmosphere. So this is an artificial process, yes, but it will not reduce the condensation nuclei. It will actually strengthen the condensation nuclei in the atmosphere so that the rain occurs. So statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 2, it uses chemicals like silver iodide, potassium iodide, and sulfate aerosols. Yes, under this technique, we will be using silver iodide and potassium iodide, but we will not use sulfate aerosols. These sulfate aerosols are actually used to reduce the global warming because they are good at reflecting back the solar radiation. So under this, we will be using silver iodide and potassium iodide chemicals, but not sulfate aerosols. So statement 2 is also incorrect. Which of the above statements are correct? None of them were correct. So option D is the right answer. So what is this cloud seeding technique is all about? So this is an artificial method that is used to increase rainfall by introducing certain substances into the cloud. Certain substances include silver iodide, potassium iodide, and dry ice. So these chemicals were released into the sky using airplanes and helicopters. So when these chemicals were released using airplanes and helicopters, when they reach the targeted cloud, these chemicals will help in forming the ice crystals. The ice crystals, when it gets heavy to remain in the air, they fall down. So they melt down to the atmosphere, to the ground in the form of the rain. So it actually takes about half an hour for this method to make it rain. What is the utility of the cloud seeding? It will reduce the impact of the droughts and it will prevent the forest fires. It will increase the precipitation, that it will increase the rainfall. It will also enhance the air quality. So the Delhi government is actually consider using this technique to improve the air quality in the Delhi state, in the Delhi. Which of the following is dependent on the quota assigned by IMF to its member countries? Option 1, financial resources that a member country is obliged to provide IMF. Second one, voting rights. Third one, special drawing rights allocation to the member countries. Fourth, borrowing capacity of the member country. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Option A 2 only, option B 2 and 3 only, option C 1 and 4 only, option D all of the above. So which of the following is dependent on the quota assigned by IMF to its member countries? So all these are dependent on the quota that was given to each member countries, the financial resources that a member country is obligated to provide IMF, and the voting rights and the special drawing rights allocations and the borrowing capacity of the member countries. These all were dependent on the quota given to a member country. So option D is the right answer. So this has been in the news because the International Monetary Fund Executive Board has approved a proposal of increasing IMF quotas to 50% to compared to their 50% above their current quotas. So this executive board proposal is being now it will move to the board of governors. When the board of governors is also considers these proposals, then this 50% increment in quota will come into the effect. So when a country joins the International Monetary Fund, each country will be assigned a quota. This quota is based upon certain criteria, and each criteria has certain weightage. So this quota is based on country's GDP. So 50% of the quota assignment is dependent upon the country's GDP and the openness of economy, that is 30%, and economic variability, that is fluctuations in current and capital account, it constitutes 15%, and the international reserves 5%. So the country's GDP, openness, economic variability, and international reserves, all this will help in determining a quota that was given to a country. So these quotas are denominated in special drawing rights. This special drawing rights is the IMF's unit of account. So presently the India's quota is 2.7%, China's quota is 6.4%, US quota is 17.46%. This quota is used to determine subscription amount. What is the subscription amount? So when a country joins the IMF, the country is obligated to pay an amount to IMF. So it will determine the subscription, it will determine the voting rights in IMF decision making, and it will also determine the members country's share of special drawing rights allocations, and it will also determine the borrowing capacity of a country. So all this will be determined by the quota. So IMF will only grant loans to its member countries. IMF will grant loans to member countries only. So by this, we will be concluding the session. I hope this session was helpful. Thank you.